Hafaday, welcome back. We have an exciting presentation scheduled next. My friends at Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center and the Project Link, along with Guam Police Department, are going to share with you an initiative that they actually launched over the summer called Project U and Wellness Wednesdays. So I'm not going to say too much because I want them to take the stage and really share their information. Without further ado, all my friends from Project U.
Hafaday and good morning. My name is Tenda Helig. I'm the social marketer for Project Link. I'm super excited for our presentation today. It's going to be over Guam's first ever Project U Youth Summer Program and Wellness Wednesdays. I have the team here with me, and for the sake of time, let's just jump right into it. I'm going to announce our speakers for today. First off, we have Sergeant Maggie Napati with GPD's Juvenile Investigation Section. We have Jesse Libby, Program Director for Project Link. Jesse Boletto, our clinical supervisor, Maria Enter, our key family contact, family partner, Amalia Duenas, our care coordinator, and Cabrini Munya, our master's in counseling intern. First off, for the audience today, Jesse, if you don't mind, you could just tell everyone what exactly Project Link is.
Sure. Well, first off, I just want to say thank you so much to our sister branch of Peace for holding a very fun and interactive virtual conference. I know during these times we would like to be together, but these guys have been able to put on a very successful, fun and interactive conference, and I've had fun yesterday attending. But anyways, Project Link. Project Link, that's LINC, stands for Linking Individuals and Nurturing Communities. We are a service-based program under the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center, where we provide mental health services for youth ages 5 to 18 with a serious emotional disturbance or co-occurring disorder. What is a serious emotional disturbance? You know, for those that are not familiar with that term, a serious emotional disturbance, or an SED, is a mental or psychiatric diagnosis that affects a person's functioning in at least 2 or more settings. Another part of our service population is an individual with a co-occurring disorder. And what a co-occurring disorder is, that SED component, along with a substance use disorder. But in addition to that, the youth and their families must be experiencing some type of homelessness. We offer a range of mental, psychiatric, and psychological services to include clinical intake assessments, wraparound and case management, peer support services, and other services under the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. But in addition to that, as a program, we like to dip ourselves into the prevention side of the house, because we realize the importance of prevention work in the community, right? And so part of our goals and objectives for Project Link is to help expand the community's understanding, to help them identify the signs and symptoms of a youth that may need mental health or substance abuse services, and how to link them up to the appropriate care. In addition to that, promote positive help-seeking behaviors, right? Most especially during the pandemic times, right? So part of our efforts was I took a step back on a programmatic level, and I kind of saw that, we are doing that with our efforts with expanding mental health services out into the community with our partners. But I thought that with Project U, it presented a very different approach to that, because for our population, they're youth, right? And so we kind of hope as adults, as responsible adults, right, so that youth are talking to other adults or their parents when they may need help. But reality is, who are they talking to? They're talking to their peers. And so Project U presented a very interesting arena for us to educate youth ages 14 to 17 on how to identify signs and symptoms of their peers that may need mental health services, and how to link them up to the appropriate care, right? And so we kind of, I pulled my team together, and we participated with Project U.
speaking on prevention and collaborations, Sergeant Apathy, do you mind letting the audience know what exactly is Project U and how it all came about and how you guys got associated with Project Link?
Sure. So Project U is the overarching program that aligns all of GPD's existing youth programs. And so what it does is it takes the concept of safe schools and expands it out into the community to create safe learning environments or across the many facets that youth learn. So through collaborating with our safe school partners, we work to deliver 3 objectives: community education, crime enforcement, and our social media campaign. So one of the programs under Project U is the Project U Youth Summer Program. So we developed a program for youth ages 14 to 17. It was a 6-week program that really focused on training our summer cadets to become leaders in their schools and in their community. We focused on teaching them about responsible citizenship, core values, and life skills. And it was very special to collaborate with our safe school partners because we were able to expand our service. We were able to theme our days based on safe school partners' area of expertise. So we had Mentor Mondays, Trade Tuesdays, Wellness Wednesdays with Project Link, Thrive Thursdays, and Fun Fridays.
Awesome. And you were mentioning beforehand that there were some YouTube videos everyone could check out from GPD.
Yes, so that's one of the other programs under Project U, which is our up and coming Project U YouTube series. You can check it out. It's under Guam Police channel. We have 2 episodes so far.
Awesome. Now, from a clinical standpoint, Jesse, you're our clinical supervisor. Can you just let the audience know, emphasizing the importance of mental health amongst our youth, especially and during this time of the pandemic?
Sure. I'll take you through and describe what mental health may look like and its importance with adolescents and illustrate what that might look like for an adolescent and how it's impacting their behavior and how the pandemic has impacted adolescent mental health. So mental health can be described as how an individual thinks, how they manage emotions, and how an individual thinks and manages their emotions that shapes behavior. So for an adolescent, it's no different. They have the mental capacity, the ability to think. Some examples would be planning, organizing, having some foresight, and for managing emotions, how an individual or an adolescent is able to manage extreme happiness or excitability, sadness, and anger. Both how an adolescent thinks and manages their emotions shapes their behavior. And with an adolescent, their brain and their bodies are developing. And so what that means is that their ability to think, process, and manage their emotions is developing as well. And there are certain environments that support and promote the development. One important environment is their schools. They develop relationships with teachers, school staff, and their peers that nurtures and supports their brain development, specifically that part of the brain that stimulates thinking and processing, and alongside managing how they might be feeling, supported, being able to explore, safely concentrate and sustain focus, and manage emotions with their peers, all the while developing skills to socially interact that promote safe behaviors, and also building relationships. And conversely, if environments that an adolescent is in is not supportive of their growth or development, their ability to think and their ability to manage their emotions are impacted, and that may translate into certain behaviors such as risky drug-seeking behaviors, alcohol use, self-harm behaviors, and potentially even suicide. So the more the environment that an adolescent is in that supports their growth, supports their learning and their ability to achieve. The pandemic has made it a challenge for those environments to consistently promote growth. And so it is no surprise that our island and the nation has made it a priority to try to safely bring the students back into face-to-face learning to promote that growth. And I believe Project U was an example of the community putting forth that effort to nurture growth and development with adolescents.
If I can add to, with the pandemic, it kind of heightened everybody's senses, right? Because initially there was like this, there was a lockdown where we were to stay home and to prevent the spread of the disease, right? And so it was, you kind of saw it take a toll on people's mental health being, they call it cabin fever or whatnot, but the pandemic had us all adopt this term of being socially distant, right? And it was Dr. Whitman actually who mentioned this, that a while ago, that this is not a time for us to be socially distant. In a pandemic, we need to be connected with our peers. We need to be connected with our families. But what we cannot be is what we need to be is physically distant, right? And so I hope we kind of change the term of, or adopting that term of being socially distant, because it's very important now more than ever to connect with each other, right? And check in and see how everybody's doing, because it's strange times, and we just need to be humans, right? Check in with each other.
And especially with the youth, I know they're impacted by this pandemic, and like you said, physically being distant, especially with COVID, having physical barriers. I know the 6 feet, everything like that. There are also other barriers you guys had to break through. Cabrini, if you could just touch on the different strategies that the team used in bringing mental health awareness to the youth.
Yeah, definitely. So from the get-go, it's very important for us to create a safe space. And as you mentioned, like physical distance is one way that we can practice that, and using our masks during every session, but more so creating a safe space for conversations to happen and for vulnerability to take place, especially, to normalize mental health and introduce that to them if it's not something that they're used to talking about. So what did that look like? From the beginning, we created ground rules, and we actually threw it to the youth to create these ground rules that they basically would be revisiting in each session. And what the ground rules are basically, what it came down to is respect for ourselves, respect for the presenters, and for their fellow peers. So whether that's raising their hand when they wish to talk, or using their listening ears if they, while other people are talking. And then also we created hand signals that they would use to let the mentors or us as presenters know that they needed a break. Because some of the topics that we did cover, mental health education, how to help a friend in crisis, a lot of those are difficult topics to talk about. And so it was very important for us to do these check-ins. And then on top of that, we also did exit tickets at the end of every session, just to check in with them a little more and see if they needed any more resources that we can offer. And then on top of that, it was very important for us, again, to create that safe space, because coming to Project U or Wellness Wednesdays, not having known anybody on our team, we knew that it was very unlikely that they were gonna break down their walls immediately. And so to build that rapport, the presenters and their mentors even jumped in on some of our sessions and the activities to build rapport with them and let them know that although we may look intimidating coming in with our uniform and with the officers as well, dressed down in the sessions, that we're people. We would talk about it. We all go through mental health or mental distress. We experience stress. We do practice coping and hopefully healthy coping strategies. So all of that, and it was very important moving forward with Wellness Wednesdays that we did incorporate lessons that were very applicable to their age group. And more so, even just bringing in, fun aspects and try to keep it as interactive as we could, especially knowing that we had to be physically distant and we were wearing our masks. But how could we, I guess, capitalize on that interactive aspect of the presentation and keep it fun, but yet informative? And so with that, we created a mental health workbook that actually was specific for Project U. And then we had lessons geared towards the things that, were of interest to them as the weeks went on. And yeah, that's basically it.
If I can add on to that, part of the reason why people will not reach out for help for their mental health is because of stigma. Stigma, is the major barrier for people to reach out for help. And so that was part of our strategy going into Project U, was to how to break stigma and how to normalize, like Cabrini said, the conversation surrounding mental health. I oftentimes tell youth that, in my previous position at Guam Behavioral Health, I used to co-facilitate a youth support group. And I often told the youth is that, one thing about your emotions is they demand to be felt. So it's completely normal to feel sad when the situation calls for it. It's completely normal to feel happy when the situation calls for it, nervous, whatever emotions you're feeling. What is not normal is staying in that state for long periods of time, that it starts to affect your functioning, where you don't want to go to school, you don't want to engage with your friends, you don't want to engage with your family. That's when it's like, okay, let's reach out for help. But normalizing that discussion about what they're feeling, that's what our goal was to normalize and break stigma, because your emotions are, it's not as scary when you start entrusting people to talk about your mental health, right? And I was watching yesterday, one of the sessions, one of the presenters said, I want to envision a place where a person can come forward and openly say that I was diagnosed with something, and the person on the receiving end said, okay, so how can I help? That really touched me, because that really is the goal here, is to create an island or a community that we feel safe enough to tell our stories and create that safe place for them to reach out for help and create that healing environment, right?
I think you guys did a great job of establishing or creating that safe space, but not only in the classroom, but create a safe space where we all work together to extend it out into the community, and creating that safe space with the follow through. Just to mention, during the 6 weeks, each of the summer cadets were paired with sworn officers that took on the critical role as mentors for these youth. So they understood how critical it was, and that there was a high potential that they become lifelong mentors to these youth. And till this day, they're still in communication, which is amazing. Yeah, expanding that out into the community to be those pillars, to be those lifelines, to be that support, and continue conversations from the start of the program and until whenever they need us, or even beyond that. I think you guys did a great job. We all did.
Yeah.
And you did mention before that even throughout the whole planning process prior to the program, that GP worked really hard to tailor it specifically to the youths, by even having like Wellness Wednesdays, devoting a whole day to each activity with the team to build that rapport.
Right. It's the main focus that we wanted to deliver is quality over quantity. So the days were themed so that the Safe School partners facilitated a lesson or a teaching focusing on responsible citizenship, core values, or life skills, but it wasn't the average 45-minute to 90-minute block of instruction. It was the entire day. They got to meet with them in the morning. They got to sit down and have breakfast with them. They went into their groups or into the classroom. They had many opportunities to learn. Then we actually sat down with them during lunch. interacted with them. We played sports, and then they continued on in the afternoon. So the quality was at the forefront.
I love that the leaders in the community were leading by example with the youth throughout the program. Now, Maria and Amalia, I know you guys also were able to present to the kids. If you can just give the audience some examples of the topics that you guys would bring up with the cadets.
So Project Link had, we held Wellness Wednesdays over a 4-week period. And each week we covered topics that pertains to mental health. So the first week we had covered coping strategies and self-care. And we were able to teach the youth or the cadets how to identify the benefits of their strengths, identify their strengths and their challenges that they were going through. We were also talking about we also taught, one of the most liked activity that we did was the vision board, where we gave the youth instructions to put on their strengths and their interests and their goals. And we just instructed them to cut out whatever pictures they found in the magazines and to put on the boards. And when it came to presentation of their vision boards, they did such an amazing job. Just what the outcome of their vision boards that we got from their presentation, from the many strengths that they had and the many interests that they had in life, because majority of our cadets were boys. So a lot of them had same interests of sports, which they enjoyed doing every lunch. And their goals, a lot of the goals that they had on their vision boards pertain to wanting to achieve them so they can be able to support their families. That was the most important one that we got from their vision boards. We also talked about resiliency and what a resilient person is able to do. We also covered on stress, how to cope with stress, and self-care, and why it's important to have self-care. And the main takeaway from the first session is, yes, you may experience stressors in all stages of life, but there are healthy ways to take care of yourself, such as coping strategies and self-care. And at the end of each session, we gave the youth exit tickets. It was a way of them telling us how they felt after each session and what they looked forward to in the next session, or what did they learn. And after the first session, a lot of the youths from their exit tickets that they had gave us were, they finally learned how to relieve stress, how to cope with stress. And that was kind of like the goal that we were trying to do. We were trying to get out of the first session was make them understand how to cope with stress, so they're not overwhelming themselves.
Especially with the pandemic.
Yes, especially with the pandemic. We also, and then on the second week, we talked about culture, the different types of culture. It's not just, we did tell them that it's not just the culture from where we're from, but there's also family culture, school culture, friends culture. There's just different cultures in life that our work culture, how we do things at work is a culture. So we taught them the different cultures and talked about stereotypes and discrimination. We expressed on how discrimination can be very stressful on those who are going through discrimination with others, and how it impacts on so much on especially youth, growing up. Any little thing could probably mean discrimination to them too, but we taught them how to cope with the coping strategies to help them through those stages in life. And with the activity that we did for the second session for culture was the what do you know activity. So what our team did was we came up with an activity where we put up pictures of different races, and we gave the youth like a minute or two to kind of jot down any positive or negative thoughts that they had towards that race. And it kind of made us learn that everybody has a different way or different way of looking at others, and how to kind of just be more positive towards others. Because then we had different races in there with the cadets too, and we covered each of the race that we had within with the cadets. There is, I mean, there is Chamorros, there is whites, there is Chickees, right? And we all covered all the different, we all discussed all the different positivities, negativities, but you know, the outcome of that activity, we actually got a lot of positive comebacks from the youth. And my partner here, Amalia, can go ahead and talk about the other sessions that we went over.
So I would agree with Maria, the cadets are really identified with the activities, and like Sergeant Apatu was saying, they carried on that attitude, not only in our sessions, but outside of the sessions throughout the week and outside of the program altogether. And then so for the third week, the topic was mental health education. And we spent a lot of time talking about defining what is mental health, what are some of the common challenges, mental health challenges that people undergo, and talked a lot about stigma. What are the negative connotations associated with someone who is experiencing mental health challenges? And like Jesse said earlier, one of the big things that we wanted to stress was prevention. So our main topic for that day was suicide prevention. And we spent a lot of time as a team collaborating, putting together our lesson plans, rehearsing, thinking, is this too much? Will the cadets, will it go over their heads? Will they be scared? But we, as a team, decided, you know, this is a very important topic to talk about, because without the knowledge, in a safe environment, it would only further the stigma and probably make the mental health challenges that someone might be going through even worse, feel like they don't have anyone to talk to. So what we stressed was, what are some ways to identify risk among in yourself or among people that you might know? And we let the cadets identify who are some people in your life that you could go to if you're ever experiencing these kinds of challenges. You know, a lot of people had people in their lives, and some were like, I don't really know who to put. And we were like, well, for one, anybody in this room, you know, your mentors, the people here from Guam Behavioral, will always be there if you ever need someone to talk to. And it was quite heartwarming, because even some of the cadets were like, you can put me, I'm here if you need someone to talk to. So I feel like that is a testament to the work that we put in, and it was really inspiring to see these cadets step out and offer their support. And then on the fourth day, we talked about transitioning into adulthood. So that topic was actually chosen by the cadets. Like in exit tickets, we wanted to see, what do you want to learn? And they decided they wanted to learn about healthy relationships and social media. And so talking about healthy relationships, we discussed healthy relationships with yourself, with others, and your relationship with social media. So we talked about what are the effects of social media on mental health? What are some ways that you could safely navigate through social media? We talked about excessive use of social media and the impacts that that can have. And it was nice to have the last session be what the cadets wanted to learn, because it made them see that, hey, I'm being heard, I'm being seen, what I think matters. And yeah.
And also too, like, what was very important too with this was I wanted the youth to kind of know who they're going to encounter in the event that they need services at Guam Behavioral Health, right? Because there is a stigma on mental health and mental health services. And sometimes even they refer to our building, our work, as a scary building, right? And so I kind of wanted to break down that stigma against our services and put a face to the service, like Amalia and Maria and all of these folks here, because they do great work. And it's when you know, I wanted them to know that if you need help, that this is the kind faces that you're going to be welcomed with at Guam Behavioral Health.
Yeah, I know it can be oftentimes a touchy subject for youth, or untouched altogether, just not knowing or learning about these things. So giving them the tools to navigate and deal with this rough time. How receptive were the cadets to these discussions surrounding mental health, whether it changed from the beginning to the end or during the process?
I could start. I believe they were very receptive. It did take I would say, an introductory period for them to kind of soak in or marinate for a short amount of time of what they were about to engage in, the type of material. But after that, after they warmed up to each other and to the team and the GPT mentors, I think that it really created an open conversation. So when they had breaks and during lunch, they would come down and be excited to share what they learned, what they're experiencing in life, and how they can apply what they learned to those experiences, or even shared sometimes that they've seen other people go through challenges, and now they know and they learn the skills and are equipped with ways that they can help others, most especially their peers. So I'm not sure if Jesse has anything to add.
Yeah, absolutely. There was that introductory time where it was, like everyone's still trying to get to know each other. And then, it was definitely as the hours went throughout the day, it was like peeling back the walls or the onion, the onion peels and everything. And it was creating that vulnerability, right? Because oftentimes when we talk about mental health, we're creating or we're making ourselves vulnerable, right? And getting to know each other. And so, there was that point where it was, where we were able to build that trust with each other. And it was very important too, that with the other Safe School partners, they were amazing, because even on our Wellness Wednesdays, they often spoke about the activities on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday, and it was this, I really appreciated this, like Sergeant Napati, like this, what she said, it's like this holistic approach to mentorship that everyone brought their specialty to the table. And it really, you saw the youth flourish, you saw them engage, you saw them contribute to the conversation of prevention. And they kind of, that was my impression, that they left inspired, right? And they were leaning on each other. And I think that we learned, they learned a lot from us, but man, did we learn a lot from them?
Yes, definitely. And I think that because we come from different agencies or organizations, we also, in a sense, went through mentorship and a training period or a learning period, so that we can learn about the different programs that exist out in the community and how we can help support our existing programs and complement them. But I believe we're very deliberate in creating learning opportunities for them, like Jesse said earlier, fostering safe learning environments for them to thrive in is really the end goal, right? Their success is our goal.
You guys seem to do such a great job bringing all of that to the youth and going out into the community and making an impact. For the general public out there, say someone watching at home, how can they learn how to better talk about or spread awareness about mental health?
Well, sure. I first off want to say that what we, incorporating mental health and mental health awareness and curriculum can work in any settings. It doesn't necessarily need to work in a mentorship program, but it could work in other settings like an after-school program or gate theater or in the schools. All of these things, it's very beneficial, and it's creating that safe space. And so for organizations and everything that they want to know more about mental health and a mental health awareness, please call the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. There are various trainings out there that can help build their understanding of signs and symptoms of mental health and all of that. We have mental health first aid training, we have ASSIST. These are very community friendly trainings that they can engage with and engage in. And so, I think that it will be great and fantastic that other, incorporating mental health curriculum and awareness or whatnot into any type of setting would be beneficial, right?
mental health is for everyone. And you said
Absolutely.
that you can visit the social media pages. Sometimes they'll announce trainings.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Please, follow our Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center Facebook page, our Instagram. We usually, those are constantly updated for any of our events that we hold out in the community. So please, follow us.
Check us out.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So I know we kind of talked about our experience specifically with Project U, Youth Summer Program and Wellness Wednesdays, but I want to kind of give the audience just a little bit of feedback that some of the youth summer cadets had. They put together a few of them put together a video, and if we can share that with the audience, that'd be great.
Hi, my name is Devin Martinez. I'm 15. I go Simon Sanchez High School.
Hi, my name is Jerry Martinez. I am 14 and I go to Simon Sanchez High School.
Hi, my name is Wari Jimenez. I am 14 and I go to Simon Sanchez High School.
During the summer, we had an opportunity to be part of a summer program called Project U.
Project U is a program that teaches teens about responsibility, integrity, and respect.
It has also taught us to make better decisions about core abilities and life choices. And we like to give a thank you to all the people who are able to make Project U possible. All the officers, mentors, and all the sponsors.
I would also like to give a huge special thanks to Officer Susie Santos for motivating us and bringing us daily. Without her, we wouldn't be able to finish this project.
I also want to give a special thank you to my mentor, Officer May Wolford. During the summer program, she has helped me focus and made me a better person than I am today.
I would also like to give another special thanks to my mentor, Officer Michael Wynn, for being a big role model and motivating me daily.
I'd like to give a special thanks to my mentor, Dean Bloss, and Officer Frankie Santos. They saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself, and they kept pushing me through.
From the north side to the south side,
if you ride, we ride.
From the east side to the west side,
if you ride, we ride.
What are we gonna do?
Rise up.
What are we gonna do?
Rise up.
Project
U.
Project
U.
You know.
Hoorah.
That was great.
That was
Thank
awesome.
you, Sherry. And some of the mentors through that mentored the summer cadets are actually in the audience today. So I just want to give them a round of applause for Project Link. I'm very, very grateful for your friendship and the mentorship that you've given me. It's surely been a journey, and I hope that we have more programs and more collaboration in the years to come.
Awesome. Any last comments from any of our panelists today before we open up the floor for some Q&A from the audience?
Well, just quickly, I just want to say for us, it was very interesting for our organizations to work in this type of level to bring a collaborative approach on a specific program. And so I like Sergeant Apathy, I'm very grateful for your partnership and all of the other Safe School partnership partners out there. We did it together, and we hope that this continues out in the community and expands, right? And so prevention works.
Any questions from our audience
Yes,
today?
it just popped up.
Oh,
Okay, so first question is, what is the future short-term goals of Project U?
Future short-term goals of Project U. Well, I did mention our up-and-coming Project U YouTube series. And the pandemic really was an opportunity for the Guam Police Department, specifically our juvenile investigation section and our community affairs sections, to really assess our capabilities. So when we all came together to brainstorm on what we can do to reconnect with the youth and their families, we just realized that we need to be where they are, and which is online. When we talk about community, it's not just out there, on the streets or in the villages, it's also online. We have a large online community. So Project U YouTube series, check it out. We have two episodes. We have one on bullying and one on the health triangle that we partnered with the Guam Department of Education. So we hope to get more resources so that we can start uploading more episodes so that we can provide some information and education on topics that we would normally do on a face-to-face basis. So, I was talking to Jesse about increasing accessibility, and that's very important, especially in these times.
So yeah, absolutely. I think, it's we hope that it expands, right? It expands and that partnership continues, and I think it will. I mean, the youth, their testimonial and their, their engagement with the leaders, it really showed that there is a need and there's an interest in the community, and so we hope that it continues. And we had fun and we like it. We want to continue. We want it to continue.
We're also preparing for next summer's Project U summer program, and hopefully be able to put something together for Christmas break, where we can take all the skills that we've learned and do some volunteer work in our schools and in our community with the summer cadets.
So next question is, are you planning to work with middle schools?
Yeah, so Project U, like I mentioned earlier, is an overarching program. So some of the programs under Project U, other than the youth summer program, is the Junior Police Cadet Program, Fade Away from Violence. We have the Teen Cops Curriculum, Cyber Safety Pacifica on Internet Safety. And as I mentioned ago, our up and coming Project U YouTube series. So we're really doing a lot of back end work to make sure that we increase our capabilities, and through a collaborative effort with our Safe School partners. So there's a lot more to come.
Yeah, and for for the middle schools and in the schools too, Project Link is partnering with GDOE in helping to expand presentations like mental health curriculum and mental health awareness in the schools. With the interesting time that we're in right now, it's not as what we envisioned, but we hope to get back into the schools, and we're ready. We're ready to adapt. I think what Project U showed was that we can, whether it be online or in person, we're ready to help bring that awareness and discussion into the schools.
Sorry, we're all chatting here. This next question is a little longer. So, for an anonymous attendee, are the mentorships perhaps idealized? For instance, there have been several incidents of police violence against individuals with mental illness, as well as discrimination and violence against members of different ethnic groups, some resulting in deaths. It is hard to trust the institution. What is GPD doing to better train their officers about mental health issues and also address the mental health needs of the officers?
Well, I'm also a part of the Guam Police Department's peer support team. And through further collaboration on our part, we have partnered with the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center to increase our training across the board for our peer support team members to get trained on how to provide peer support to our brothers and sisters in blue. We have been working on this project since 2018. So actually, some of them are in the audience, attending this conference so that they can learn more about how to better provide support services to our peers. Most oftentimes, we respond to crisis situations, and it does take a toll on our mental health. So finding ways, positive coping mechanisms, and ways to navigate through that and overcome those negative, responses. We want to make sure that our peer support team members are trained and equipped to help support. What was the second part of the question?
So the question was, what is GP doing to better train their officers and also address the mental health needs of their officers? So
okay, so I answered the peer support team part internally. On how to respond to the public, we also undergo training with Guam Behavioral Health. I actually, the last training that I completed was the ASSIST training, which was very beneficial. I learned a lot and went through additional mentorship under their training branch on how to respond to suicide ideations and how to develop my skills in communicating how to keep a person safe who's displaying suicide ideations. So we're continuing to train our officers, and we'll continue doing that so long as training is available.
All right. So this is the awkward part where we transition out of this.
Oh.
I just want to say thank you so much for Project U, the team here that's present, Project Link and GPD. We've been great partners with both areas. So you've shared a lot about the program that you were able to run. There were a lot of comments and about hoping that the program continues and isn't just isolated to this last summer. So congratulations to all of you on a great program, and thank you for empowering our youth. And for everyone in the audience, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be returning to talk about Manyattlu and some of the ways that they've localized their programming. So
Before we cut out,
Oh,
can you just mention our safe school partners?
Yes, absolutely. So, yes.
If you don't mind, right before we go, we just wanted to mention that Project U Youth Summer Program was partially funded under Manyattlu's 2020 Substance Abuse Prevention and Treatment Block Grant under Guam Behavioral. Also, a big shout out and special thanks to the rest of the Project Link team who weren't able to attend with us today. Who are tuning in right now, we have Ernesto Regalado, Francesca Robbie, Genevieve Pantarilla, Jamie Pangilinan, Crisval Eugenio, Nicole Chargaloff, and also a shout out to Project Tolaika for their collaboration on presenting on the importance of transitioning into adulthood. And a special thanks to our Safe School partners, Manyattlu, the Office of the Attorney General, the Guam Department of Education, the Department of Youth Affairs, the Mayor's Council of Guam, PBS, Thrive Coalition, the Guam Trades Academy, and the Office of our Governor and Lieutenant Governor. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.